So let's make the differences between true solution, colloids and suspensions. On the left hand side, I will name the parameters on the basis of which these differences will be shown. So let's start. So the first point will be on the basis of the nature of these three systems, which I am going to write as. So true solutions are homogeneous in nature, colloids are heterogeneous, and suspensions are also heterogeneous. So let's move on to the second point. So the second point will be on the basis of the size of the dispersed particles. So for true solution, the particle size, that is the diameter, is less than or equal to 10 to the power minus 8 centimeters. For colloids, the range is between 10 to the power minus 7 to 10 to the power minus 5 centimeters. And for suspension, the particle diameter is greater than 10 to the power minus 5 centimeters. So let's move on to the third point. So the third point is based on the visibility of the particles. So for true solution, particles are not visible even under an ultra microscope. For colloids, particles are not visible to naked eyes or under an ordinary microscope but can be seen by an ultra microscope. Let's move on to suspensions. Particles are visible under ordinary microscope or sometimes by naked eyes. So let's move on to the fourth point. So the fourth point is on the basis of the passage through filter paper or parchment paper. So let's start with true solutions. So true solutions can pass through both filter paper and parchment paper. This is under true solutions. Now let's move on for colloids. Colloids can pass through filter paper but cannot pass parchment paper. The last one is the suspension. Suspensions cannot pass through a filter paper or a parchment paper. So let's move on to the fifth point. So the fifth point is on the basis of tendency of sedimentation. So for true solutions, the particles are never sedimented, and for colloids, particles settle down when such a solution is heated or when it comes in contact with a suitable electrolyte. For suspensions, the particles settle down under the influence of gravitational attractive force. So let's move on to the sixth point. The sixth point is on the basis of the electrical character. So true solutions are electrically neutral and may exist in ionic or molecular states. And for colloids, we have colloidal particles are either positive or negatively charged. And for suspensions, the particles as well as the solutions are electrically neutral. Let's move on to the seventh point. So true solutions do not display electrophoresis, electroosmosis and such other properties. And for colloids respond to all these electrical properties. And for suspensions, these solutions do not exhibit the electrical properties. So let's move on to the eighth point. This is on the basis of the optical property. So for true solutions does not show tintal effect, hence the solution appears to be transparent. For colloids show tintal effect, and for suspensions, light cannot pass through as it is opaque. So the ninth point is the basis of Brownian motion. For true solutions rarely exhibit Brownian movement. For colloids, they exhibit Brownian movement, and for suspension, they display Brownian movement in some cases. The last point will be on the basis of the color. For true solutions, the color depends on the solvent or the solutes. If the solvent is colorless, then the color of the solution will depend on the color of the solutes. Now for colloidal solutions, the color depends on the size of the dispersed particles, and for suspensions, usually depends on the dispersed particles. For suspensions, the color usually depends on the dispersed particles. So these were the 10 differences between true solution, colloids and suspensions. I hope these differences are clear after watching this video. Thank you.